All right, so some of you had, perhaps when you watch the Science Channel, there's something very similar to this. We're going to fill this content in. This is kind of like a word bank with some of the terms that you would have seen in your diagram yesterday, but we just want to read through that because we want to make sure that hopefully this makes somewhat of sense. And I understand there's a glare on the board. We'll try to clear that up before we get started. Okay. So what I want you to do is page 229. One of the aspects we talk about as far as making energy is concerned, okay, that is actually given to you in your mitochondria, okay? Thinking back on that video about poor George, okay? I'm sorry, I just start laughing every time I say poor George. Okay? For anyone who's ever ran on a treadmill, and especially if you are next to someone and you notice, they got theirs going a certain speed. I think I could do that. Bad idea. Okay? And then if you've ever used one of those, if you can't keep up, what is it that you should probably do to keep yourself from falling off the backside? Well, that too. Okay, but you got to do something a little more specific than that. That is true. That will help keep your balance. Lift yourself up and then put your feet on the sides. Yes, that is correct. Okay? Because what was George's problem? Within his cells that needed energy, how many mitochondria did he have? He only had one. Now, that's not the case for all of our different types of cells we have in our body. There can be many mitochondria in there just because the workload that they would have to do is quite high. And does anyone want to take a guess on, besides the brain, besides the heart, was probably one of your next hardest working organs in the body? Okay, no, not the brain, not the heart. Okay, it's one I don't think you're going to think of, but when you hear it, you're going to say, God, I did know that. I heard something. What? The liver. Okay, why would that be? Does anyone know? It filters the blood. It gets rid of waste products. It converts enzymes that the body can use, okay? And then it also metabolizes proteins. Now, that's more so of an A&P production, but the liver would have many, many, many mitochondria in here, and it's probably going to do this process as much as it can because it expands so much energy. Because what do you think, how long do you think you could possibly live without a viable liver? I mean, just none in your body at all. Probably 1 day is about it. Okay? Now, if you had a liver that's failing, that it might get you, maybe buys time, maybe about a week. There's been studies where they actually have transported a baboon's liver and put that inside of a human, and that bought them maybe about 3 weeks. But eventually, it's just going to probably reject. The body's going to reject that organ because that's a type of xenotransplantation. Okay, you're taking an entire organ and putting it in our body. It's just going to reject it. So there are certain parts of different, we had already said that, certain parts of different animals we can put inside of us, but they're not entire organs. And I think someone back here had said it. It's from pigs. I thought it was one of you two guys. No?
What was it?
It's something that we can take out of pigs and put in us.
Heart.
Close. No. Something a little more specific with the heart.
Vessels.
Yeah, it does start with the letter V, but it's not vessels. Heart valves. You can take heart valves and take them out of a pig and put them inside of a human. All right. But anyway, back to page 229. Okay. One of the things you'll notice on page 228, inside that blue box, about halfway down, what do you see? It's a chemical reaction.
Sugar.
Well, that's where it starts. You got glucose or sugar combining with what?
Oxygen.
Okay, and gives off what?
Carbon dioxide.
And, okay, now, what happens if that reaction is going back this way? That's not animals anymore. It's not humans either. Plants. Whoever said plants, that's right. Okay? Because plants, as we know, take in carbon dioxide. They absorb water from their root structure, okay, and then give off oxygen as a byproduct, and then produces sugar or glucose. Okay. Anyway, glycolysis. Okay? So on page 229. Glucose is broken down in the cytoplasm through the process of glycolysis. 2 molecules of ATP and 2 molecules of NADH are formed for each molecule of glucose that is broken down. Now, notice you're not going to see every detail that we're reading up here on the board. This is the important content we want you to know. We're trying to eliminate that, but we're reading it. We'll fill these gaps in just a moment. Okay. Follow along with figure 12. We're not going to do that. Okay. Next paragraph. First, 2 phosphate groups derived from 2 molecules of ATP are joined to glucose. Notice that some energy to ATP is required to start the reactions that will produce energy for the cell. The 6 carbon molecule is then broken down into 3 carbon compounds. Next, 2 phosphates are added, and electrons and hydrogen ions combined with 2 NADH moves to form 2 NADH molecules. NADH plus is similar to NADP, an electron carrier using photosynthesis. So hopefully that somewhat rings a bell. Where did that electron come from in photosynthesis? Not the glucose like it does in humans and animals. Water. Say that again. Water. When water is split, okay, that hydrogen ion will drive that electron. Okay? So that leaves us at, okay, during photosynthesis. Last, the 2 3-carbon compounds are converted into 2 molecules of pyruvate. At the same time, 4 molecules of ATP are produced. Now, we just said 4 molecules. Do we see that up on the board? Yes, we do. We just haven't got to that yet. Okay? Again, this is the bare bones of content we want. Notice you don't see NADH, NADH plus, NADPH, any of that. We're just reading about it, and we'll put that up here in just a moment. Okay, the Krebs cycle is where it's at. That is where you're getting a lot of your energy. Okay, and I can specifically attest for that when I'm riding my bike. Fat guy on a bike. Just picture that. The poor back tire is just saying, oh, God, get off. So, but no. Anyway, but anyway, where are the largest and probably longest muscles in your body found? In your legs. A little more specific, though, because leg is a little vague. Quadriceps. Okay. And then your hamstring. That is your thighs, okay? Those are very large, very long muscles. They're going to take a lot of energy to run. But if you're riding a bike, you can feel, you people are in anyone in here is a lot better shape than I am, okay? So what that means is you can produce this energy a lot more efficiently than I can, okay? Just because of the age is the factor. You're still young yet. Enjoy your youth. But anyway, I can feel my legs burning because this process has not made it to the Krebs cycle. I'll explain what that means in just a moment. Okay, Krebs cycle. Glycolysis has a net result of 2 ATP. Do we see 2 ATP up here? Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. So that's going to be important. Okay? And 2 pyruvate pyruvate molecules. Lucky this isn't that word I couldn't read. I still struggled at that. Okay. In the process, in the presence of oxygen, do we see that up there? Yes, we do. So that's going to be important. Pyruvate is transported into the mitochondrial matrix where it is eventually converted to carbon dioxide. Okay? The series of reactions in which pyruvate is broken down into carbon dioxide is called the Krebs cycle. Do we see that up there? Yes, we do. Okay? So we're going to start to fill them in here pretty soon. We might add to this, but as of right now, this is where we would be stopping as far as identifications are concerned. Okay, we're not going to know it as the tricarboxylic acid cycle, although some of you wrote that down in your vocab terms. Because remember, that's where we got your vocab terms from. Everyone took their turn and wrote the definitions up here. That's where they were taken from your vocabulary evaluation. We don't need to know it as the citric acid cycle either. This is the Krebs cycle. Turn the page. Okay? Steps of the Krebs cycle. Okay? Prior to the Krebs cycle, pyruvate first reacts with coenzyme A. Do we see that up there? Yes, we do. So that's going to be important. Thank you for looking up there because I have to grab a bus too. So I always think that means one of two things. Either, oh my gosh, I want to get out of here, or is this class ever going to end?
I think I set a reminder for when I have to go grab my food.
Oh, okay. Because we want to make sure this process is working, because we need to have that guy way up there. If you don't have that food, that can't be up there, and then this whole thing just it falls apart. Okay. To form two carbon intermediate called acetyl coenzyme A. At the same time, carbon dioxide is released, not NADH. It's converted to NADH+. NADH+ is converted to NADH. Acetyl coenzyme A then moves into the mitochondrial matrix. The reaction results in the production of two carbon dioxide molecules and two NADH molecules. Follow along in this, okay? This does a decent job, okay? But I think you'll appreciate seeing this as opposed to reading this content and saying you need to list this and this and this. I'd want to kick my own $, but we're not going to do that. Okay. The Krebs cycle begins with acetyl coenzyme A combining with a 4-carbon compound to form 6-carbon compound known as citric acid. Okay? Citric acid is then broken down in the next series of steps, releasing 2 molecules of carbon dioxide and generating 1 ATP, 3, and so on and so forth. Now, okay, why does it make sense that we're talking about carbon dioxide a lot? What did it say in that blue box on the prior page? That's given off. That's given off as a byproduct. All that carbon dioxide that we have built up, you might say, well, it's only in our lungs. No, that is not the case. You are constantly producing carbon dioxide in every cell of your body, but it has to get rid of it somehow. So the only way it goes into your bloodstream then goes to your lungs, and then it diffuses into your alveoli, and then out to the atmosphere. Okay. And then the last portion, finally, acetyl coenzyme A and the citric acid cycle are generated, and the cycle continues. Now, this cycle is going to continue and continue and continue until something stops. And we're going to tell you what that is in just a moment. Okay. I think we can stop there, but keep that open on page 230. Okay? So, do you just want to go in order? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or do you want to see where these are placed in order and check them off?
In order.
In this numerical order. Okay? So you started off with your food, which is right. Okay? So, number one, in order for all of this to occur, we have to have glucose. Okay? This has to be up there. Okay? So, that one's gone. I don't want to put a line through that, otherwise then I'm going to have blue and black in my marker, and I don't want to do that. Okay, number two. Okay, this has to be present. Two things have to be present for us to get into this circular cycle. Someone said it already, and they are correct. You have to have oxygen. Okay? Now, this oxygen has to combine with something very specific. It's an enzyme. And it's in your word bank there. It's just abbreviated. Nope. Say that again. Acetyl coenzyme A. Okay, this is an enzyme. So, acetyl coenzyme A also has to be present. Okay? So, what is this process called before we get to this circle? This is called glycolysis. Okay? Now, who's got jobs out there? If you want to depress yourself, it's easy to do. Look at your paycheck. Okay, who can we pick on in here that's got a job? Okay. Shoot me a number. Okay, I'm just going to make this up. We'll do this. Here is your weekly paycheck. Oh, I was going to do something like this. Your weekly paycheck. Okay? Now, the problem with this is this amount. Are you given a check with this amount? You're shaking your head no. Why are you correct when you're shaking your head no like that? You're not that old.
Healthcare.
Oh, you don't have insurance. That comes from your parents. Someone else said it. Taxes. Uncle Sam wants his money. So this is what we call a gross paycheck, $1,020. But you don't get $1,020. You might be lucky if you get, we'll just keep it simple. That gets taken out of there. I didn't do that right. That's what I meant to do. I just had them backwards. Okay? Even though your gross paycheck is $1,020, but you don't get paid that. You get paid $800. So then that's maybe called something different, not gross, but what? That's your net paycheck. After all your deductions are taken out, that's what you make. Okay? Glycolysis is something very similar. It costs a certain amount to drive that reaction. You can't go on the negative side. So there's only 3 sets of numbers up there. Right. So we said this is where the money's at. So this is what is giving your energy. So the big number is probably not up there. Okay? So glycolysis will give you 4 ATP molecules. Okay? So 4 ATP for number 4. What a coincidence. Okay? I didn't plan that, by the way. But we don't get 4 ATP out of this all the time. Just like you have a gross check and a net check. Okay? So it costs 2 ATP molecules, so then number 8 is 2 ATP. Okay? Because in order for this reaction to take place, you have to burn 2 ATP molecules. Okay, we kind of got out of step there a little bit, but that's okay. Now, your glucose is broken down, glycolysis is proceeding, you got your 2 net ATP molecules, we're taking in enough oxygen, acetyl coenzyme A, that's chugging right along. Now we are down into this entire process, which is called what? This is your Krebs cycle. Okay. Which then means we've just got one left. If this can continue, how many ATP do we continually shoot out? The author is going to say 36. Where might that discrepancy be? It occurred up here in glycolysis. You still have those 2 net ATP down here. Now, you continually do produce energy, whether you've got I'm just wondering what we're doing back there. That's all. Yeah, I know. It's just something that I saw that kind of. Okay. So, okay, just breathe. Get this Krebs cycle going. Okay. So now, what happens if you don't have acetyl? That's usually always present. You're going to have this in excess. But why are you going to be running low on this? What do we say about the bike? Other than big guy get off. That's true too. But what muscles drive the bicycle? Your legs. Those take a lot of oxygen. Okay? So if you are burning through a lot of this oxygen, this is going to slowly start to deplete. Well, what happens if 3 other areas run low on oxygen that your body just will not let happen? Your brain, your heart, this muscle, diaphragm. Okay? So those 3 places are going to continually take in this oxygen. There's only so much to go around. Okay? So once the track season gets here again next year, or next season, next year, okay, you people would probably agree that, oh my gosh, my legs are sore after the first week. Does this sound familiar? So what's happening in your body, you're burning your sugar, okay? You're producing this much ATP, but you only have so much of that to go around. So you're going to start to be building up what's called pyruvic acid. Remember, it said pyruvate was the last step here. We'll include that at a later time. So when you have that pyruvic acid start to burn, just think of the term acid in your muscles. That's why you feel that burning sensation. It will leave. That's why we say continually drink that water, and you'll naturally flush that out of your muscles. Okay? So this is a diagram you're going to want to know. Okay? I think this is a lot better than what we read in the book. I don't want to include that NADH and NAD plus and all that material. This is a shortened, condensed process on what we want you to know. Okay, again, tomorrow you're not in class because you are cheering for our 7 lady cross-country runners. That's what we like to see. Going, yay! And then Thursday, we'll go over this again. And Friday, for those of you who are not quite getting the grades you want, that is when you're going to make up a lot of ground on Friday. Okay? But not everyone likes science. I get that. But it's just one of the aspects that you have to do. All right, we'll catch up to you next time.